Welcome back to Champion News Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi, and our founder, Jack Roeser, and I are speaking with Congressman Joe Walsh from the 8th District, and we were kind of discussing a little bit about debt, government spending too much money, debt, higher taxes, and how this affects and impacts job growth.
Carol Ann, it's a fascinating topic, and I have said now for months, respectfully, that this president has no clue as to what makes this country tick. The beauty of this country is the fact that it has always been the most innovative place in the world. You look at a guy like Jack Roeser, who with pennies in his pocket, how many years ago, started a company like this. That's what makes this country go. And it is too darn difficult now because of taxes and regulations to do this. And that president, our president, doesn't understand at all that magic of America. And if he did, he wouldn't be overburdening us with regulations and taxes. Now look, we Republicans, I don't think have done a real good job of explaining to the American people that this is what we're trying to relieve businesses of. But people, Jack, you know, people aren't starting businesses, people aren't hiring people right now because they're sitting on their hands because they're so scared about this environment.
Exactly so. People are, they don't have the assurance that they can strike out as Americans always have, with confidence, that they're in a good environment for taking chances and doing things. There's all kinds of talk about how you start businesses, and there's a lot of complaint about paying taxes. Here in Illinois, they raised our business taxes about 66%. A lot of screaming goes on about that. But I've started 4 businesses, and I don't like paying taxes, but you don't get to pay taxes until after you started a successful business. And trying to start a business with all these regulations going on, it's very difficult. It's quite a while before you get to being outraged by paying such high taxes. High taxes are bad. Regulations come before it. It's terrible. There's an awful arrogance about regulations. Think about it. Obama and his bunch of, what do they call them, Kaisers or?
Czars.
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 Kaisers would do.
Yes.
But those guys have an immense arrogance that they think they know better about every jot and tittle of what goes on. They think they know better than we do.
Jack,
and so we're paying for them to trash us.
They come from the academic world. This is a president who has surrounded himself with academics, not with men and women who have begun and run businesses. His economic advisor, Goolsbee, just left to go back to the world of academia.
His job is secure. They tried to pass a law down in Springfield that the professors at the U of I had to teach for 7 hours a week. There was a terrible uproar, and they couldn't pass that.
You know, I read this past week.
Cruel and unusual punishment to have to teach a class of young people
for 7 hours a week. To teach.
I read something this past week in Cranes about the Chicago board, maybe the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, possibly leaving Chicago because of the exorbitant taxes that are in Illinois.
Our district office in Fox Lake gets calls on a weekly basis from businesses who want to get out of this state. Most can't, Jack, because they have such sunk cost, but many want to get out. And you're seeing the same thing in our country. We've made it very difficult for businesses to do business here. I worry that the nation is following the Illinois model, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Government wastes such a great deal of money. And
I have a letter here from a business here in Carpentersville. I'll leave the names out because that isn't the important part. But the man was contacted by the village to participate in a program of rehabilitating housing and so on. But he says, looks like a great program, but the unfortunate news for all of us is due to anti-business climate of Illinois and poor legislation that Madigan, Governor Quinn, and his allies have passed over the years, we have shut down our manufacturing and relocated our operation to other areas of the country where they favor business and support investment in production-related ventures. You could say the same thing about the whole country, as this man said about Illinois.
Look,
it's all true. They are our enemies. They have arrogance. They don't think that people spending their own mind and their own efforts in a free country, in a free market, can possibly be as good as they are in their arrogance, that they can tell us all each little movement that we have to make in family and life and business. We should have some stinking bureaucrat tell us what to do.
No, we need
I
good
don't
policy
think so.
that is going to lead to innovation, business expansion, and job creation.
And elections matter.
Elections
Let's
matter.
be honest, respectfully, this is a president who has a different mindset. He believes in a big government. He wants as many Americans as possible dependent upon that big government.
You know what? I think after the break, we need to talk about solutions and actionable solutions that you in Congress and even here in our State House of Illinois to help perpetrate a better environment for jobs and businesses. Coming up after the break.